What is up? What is going on, everybody? I am back with the Mariners post-game recap. Before I get started, as I always say, if you're new here, hit the sub button. If you're new here, also hit the like button. If you are enjoying the videos, please hit the like button. Even if you're not a Mariners fan and you just want to help the channel out, it helps me out a lot when you hit the like button. So thank you again to everybody that has. I appreciate people engaging in the comments section as well. Mariners fans or fans of any team that want to engage, just ask for everybody to keep it civil. This is not just, as I'm growing a few more subscribers, this is not meant to be a trash talking channel. This is meant to be a breakdown of a team. I do not play for the team. I do not have any say in anything. So again, I'm not here to get into, if you want to have debate about something, that's fine. But I'm not here to get into shouting matches with anybody about anything. We're just here to talk baseball and enjoy this amazing game. Mariners win it 3-1. They get the series win over the Astros, and they improve to 500. So all around a fantastic series for the Mariners, a fantastic game today, fantastic series win. Now back to 500 with Texas coming in tomorrow and a chance to, truthfully, with a sweep, maybe not, because Texas can be 20-15. So yeah, I think with a sweep, a chance to be in first place. I'm not positive where Texas is at record-wise, but certainly close enough, and a big series here coming up against the Rangers. Certainly a game where you really, after yesterday, wanted the Mariners to get that W, get this series. They've had a few games this year where they've had a chance to get back to 500. They just can't do it. Then they sort of fall back a little bit, and now they're able to get back to 500. And now we can kind of get the season going, essentially. Now you got a chance tomorrow to get back over 500. And that's kind of that next hurdle. So hopefully they can get that done tomorrow. Let's talk about the game today. Let's start with the pitching. Bryce Miller, another fantastic start for Bryce Miller. 6 innings, 2 hits, no runs, 1 walk, 5 Ks. Actually gave up less runs to the Astros than he did the A's somehow. But Miller was fantastic again today. The fastball was good. I've been really impressed with the command control. I was a little worried about that for Miller, how that would translate over. But he has had impeccable command so far, that dotting that fastball up. You've seen the comments and the talk about how the spin rate is just incredible on it versus the average MLB fastball. So Bryce Miller, it looks like so far, now we're only 2 starts into his career, but it looks like for the 3rd year in a row that the Mariners may have brought up a gem pitching prospect here. We saw it with Logan Gilbert. We saw it with George Kirby. Now we might be seeing it with the Mariners' top pitching prospect this year in Bryce Miller. Now, again, we talk about with the A's offense. The A's offense is really bad, like to the point where I don't hate that you guys can't really see. I guess it doesn't matter. I feel like my eyes are shadowed out here, but who cares? The A's are not a good lineup at all. It's a really bad lineup. But Miller was impressive. Like I said in my post-game video from that game, if Miller would have gone 5 innings, given up 2 runs, 4 walks, 2 Ks against the A's, I'd be like, I want to see a little more. But he dominated. And again here today, the Astros lineup right now is Jordan and Tucker, and then hoping for some other stuff right now. Bregman hasn't gotten going. And they're obviously going through a lot of injuries. But again, Miller he didn't quite dominate today. He did give up some deep fly balls. So I think he gave some more hard hit contact today. But it wasn't anything where he's getting hit all around the park. He was walking guys. He was in command the whole time. And was able to, I think, do enough to keep the Astros off balance and get his first major league win as well. And again, we talked about when Robbie Ray went out, what could this team do? What was on the table? At the time, it was Chris Flexen. That was the option that was on the major league roster, and Flexen was obviously struggling. And in AAA, in AA, you have Bryce Miller, you've got Wu, you've got Hancock, you've got the Tommy Malones down there as well. And then there was talk about, the trade market too. That may be where the Mariners have to go. But maybe Bryce Miller's the guy. And while I didn't know if Bryce Miller was quite ready, I was hesitant on it when Ray first went out. Well, when Ray first got hurt, I was hesitant on it because I thought Ray would be out a month. I didn't want to rush a top pitching prospect up for a month of baseball. When Ray was out a month, the best option was Flexen or Malone to give you 4, 5, 6 starts, then get Ray back in there. But now with Robbie Ray being out, you need someone with some upside. And do I think Chris Flexen's going to run an 80 ERA all season? No, but there's very little upside to Chris Flexen. Your best bet is a back end of rotation starter. You need someone that can be, doesn't have to be, I wouldn't say Miller's obviously, he's made 2 major league starts, but with the stuff that could translate to being a top of the rotation starter. So now they've got someone in there that gives you some true upside on the pitching side to slide in for Robbie Ray, essentially. So, and if keeps up this, it might not be, it might be a long time before Bryce Miller's out of the Mariners rotation, if you know what I mean. He may be cementing himself for the long term here. Bullpen was solid. Gabe Speier did give up his first run of the year. Abreu got him for a double, and then Tucker got one, hit us base hit that just got through. It's going to happen. Gabe Speier wasn't going to run a 0 ERA all season. It happens. Matt Brash came in, did his job, 2 strikeouts of Pena. He gave up the hit to Jolks. Is that how you say it? Is it? No, I try to click on things. Come on, box score. Jolks had the base hit, and then he struck out Myers to end the inning. So Matt Brash, again, continues to do, his strikeouts are insane. He's got 32 strikeouts in 16 innings. Matt Brash is fine. Matt Brash is not bad. So for all the people I hear saying, oh, Brash has been terrible, I've talked about it. Go watch several of my post games. There's been moments where his command hasn't been there. And that's going to be something with Brash. Like, he's just going to have moments when that command is not there. He's not going to have Mariano Rivera pinpoint control command. He has days where it's off. And if that command of that slider is off and you're just throwing one pitch, it makes it easier for hitters. But he has also been extremely, extremely unlucky this year. So good to see him get a couple strikeouts there. Again, don't just look at the ERA. ERA is not a great number to look at. It's there. I'm not saying it's worthless, but Brash has been better than a 5.06 ERA. That's why you see Scott keep going in these situations, especially when you need that strikeout. Trevor Gott did a great job, 1, 2, 3, 8th inning with a couple strikeouts. Did get a borderline pitch to Bregman that was called strike 3. But there were still 2 strikes and 2 outs. I don't know how much that really changed the outcome of the game, but definitely got a borderline pitch. Justin Topa comes in, gets his first major league save, gave up the hit to Alvarez, but then got Jose Abreu to ground to a double play and struck out Kyle Tucker on a really, really nasty pitch. So congrats to Justin Topa, his first big league save and the first big league win for Bryce Miller. Pitching staff did a nice job really all weekend. The only real blemish was that 3-run home run Castillo gave up to Yordan Alvarez in game 1. So other than that, I had a visitor there, but left. All right. My kid walked in the room. All right, moving on to the offense here. Julio back in the home run category. 1 for 4 with a home run and a walk as well to lead off the game. Great to see from Julio, his 6th home run. Julio getting hot would be really, 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 really nice to see for the Mariners as they come into a pivotal series against Texas. Before I dive into the rest of the offense, I will comment real quick. Give me 1 second, everybody. I apologize. A quick delay in the action as I close the door. I don't know if you guys want to listen to PJ Masks as I'm doing this, so just closing the door real quick. One thing I will say about the offense is they could have had 9 or 10 runs today. There was all sorts of traffic on the bases, hard hits all around. Pretty unfortunate they didn't put up more runs. Some of it's bad luck. Some of it's just bad situational hitting today from the Mariners. Now, I will say this. I'm not discouraged by that for a couple reasons. One, they got the win. So winning is the cure of all ailments. And number 2, keep putting traffic on the base pass. Keep doing it. It's going to be rewarded eventually. I remember, and not that this is some no crazy notion to say or anything, but I remember when I was really young, I was a kid, we had season tickets to the Seahawks when they were in the Kingdome. And I want to say it was 92 when I was young. And my dad and I went to an Eagles-Seahawks game, not because of that, just the Eagles were in town. And Randall Cunningham was a quarterback for the Eagles at the time. And the Seahawks were terrible in 92, but they had a really good defense. And they had a couple times they almost sat Cunningham, but he got out of it, ran for 12, 15 yards. As a kid, I'm sitting there going they're doing terrible. And I remember my dad kind of leaning over and going, no, that's actually good. Keep putting pressure on him. Eventually you will get to him. Now, I think they ended up losing that game in overtime because that Seahawks team was terrible and had no offense. But the point he was making was that you're putting the pressure on. That's better than just designed runs getting you 15 yards. Like, they're putting pressure on him, and he's having to get out of his comfort zone and make plays. Like, that's what you want to do. The Mariners put pressure on the Astros pitching staff. They got base runners. Keep doing that every game, and you will score more than 3 runs. It's unfortunate they couldn't do it today, but luckily they stranded all those runners in a game when they didn't need them. Like, yeah, now they may have. Like, it's easy to say after the fact they didn't need them. During the game, we didn't know that. But when it's all said and done, they didn't need more. You know, I'm not a believer in you're saving runs for other games, but keep putting runners on base. Like, it'll work out just fine for you. The Mariners are not naturally worse at hitting with runners in scoring position than any other team is, essentially. You know what I mean? So keep putting runners on base, and they will eventually come home to roost. In fact, what they did today is better than just getting 2 hits. Like, if all they did was they scored the 3 runs and Julio had a home run, and then, or let's say Julio's was a 2-run home run or something, and then another bloop or something like that. Like, they put pressure on. So keep doing that. You'll score more runs. I keep saying that, but let's move on. Ty France, 2 for 3. Ty's now at 5 hits in the last 2 games. Seems to be coming out of whatever little slump he was in. That's good to see. Kelenic was 1 for 4. Had a double. Did leave the bases loaded with 1 out at one point. And he also made a great diving catch in right field. So is Kelenic continuing to hit offensively. His defense has been plus as well. Gino was 2 for 4. He had a double and an infield hit. Now, the infield hit was a great play by Dubon. That would have scored a run for the Mariners, but Dubon made a great play to stop it, keep it on the infield there. Tough day for Cal Raleigh. He was 0 for 4. Teoscar was 1 for 3 with a single and a walk. JP was 2 for 4. Caballero was 1 for 3 with a single and a walk, and Taylor Trammell was also 1 for 3 with a single and a walk. I will talk a little bit about the little dust-up that happened in the... and the Mariners did score. They had the Julio home run. Cal scored Gino on an error. That's what's funny. They had all these base runners. They had 11 hits, and they had 4 walks, and I think a hit by pitch. They had 16 base runners because Ty was hit by a pitch. And they scored their runs on a Julio homer, which wasn't even with anybody, you know what I mean? Like, that's just, that hit scored the home run. They scored on a balk, and then they scored on an error. So despite all that traffic, the 3 runs they scored were on a home run, a balk, and an error, which is kind of funny. So talk a little bit about a little bit of a dust-up that took place. I want to say it was in the 4th inning. What inning was it? I don't remember. But it was with Jose Caballero at the plate. Now listen, before I get into it, and this is for all fans, obviously I expect fan bases to defend their team in it. Like, yeah, as a Mariners fan, my thought is like, yeah, come on, what are the Astros doing? Like, come on now. I'm sure Astros fans are sitting there going, oh, there's the Mariners doing something. Like, at the end of the day, nobody got hurt in this little dust-up. And you know what? If it makes a rivalry, then cool. Like, let the guys go at it a little bit. Let it be fun. Like, I don't want to see people get hurt in brawls and things that are just out of hand. But to me, I'm not sitting there going like, oh my God, how dare this happen? Like, it's good. Like, let the rivalry happen. For Mariners fans, if you're Seahawks fans too, was the Seahawks-Niners rivalry not better when the teams kind of hate each other a little bit? Didn't that make it a little more fun? So, and at the end of the day, when you hate someone so much, there's a respect that goes with it. Like, as I've gotten older, like, I hated the Niners in 2012, 2013, 2014. But, like, looking back, like, I have so much respect for that Niners team with Harbaugh, Bowman, Willis, Kaepernick, all those guys and how good they were. So it's funny how that ends up changing. But as I do with the Astros, I have a ton of respect for, their organization and everything and how good they've been. But anyways, to the dust-up, it looked like Caballero called timeout or something. He called timeout. Scott Service was arguing, which I wasn't sure what Scott was upset about because Caballero called time. So Scott was upset, and then Caballero and Maldonado, the catcher, started mouthing at each other. Benches cleared. Nothing happened from it. I think it was just both guys frustrated on the situation. Now, what I think happened, and I think where the frustration was, and I truly do see both sides of it, I think Caballero thought the Astros starting pitcher, Belak, was rushing a little bit. Now, I don't really know how that works with the pitch clock. Like, it's going. He's got to throw a pitch. But Caballero seen, and I think he was frustrated he had to call a timeout for that. Like he wasn't ready, or it was before the 8 seconds, maybe, is my thought. And I think that's what Scott was saying, was like, well, he had to call the timeout because the pitcher's already throwing and everything like that. Now, whatever side you're on with that, leave it to yourself to decide. But I think that's where the frustration was. And I'm sure Maldonado was saying, like, dude, he's throwing a pitch. Like, get over it. And Caballero's probably like, he's throwing it before I'm even supposed to be in the box and get ready. So I think that's what it was. Nobody got hurt. Cooler heads prevailed. This umpiring crew has been in the middle of a lot of stuff. They were the ones with the Max Scherzer substance injections. So I wonder how much control they have over these situations a little bit. But that's what the dust up was. Yeah, I'm a Mariners fan. I'm going to defend the Mariners on it. But to each their own, whatever you want to think of it. I don't have a problem with that stuff. Let these teams go at a little bit. It's good for the game. Baseball needs rivalries. Baseball, if you want to grow that viewership and everything, you need teams to kind of, again, I'm not talking about guys getting hurt or anything like that. I'm not talking about throwing at people's heads. That's obviously not what I'm getting at all. But a couple dust-ups where some guys come out and talk a little bit. I'm not against that. I have no problem with that stuff happening. But yeah, I thought... overall, the Mariners' offense approach was good. They just couldn't cash in that one knockout blow. They didn't get that knockout blow today, which was fine because they ended up winning. You're always a little nervous with that because you let the team hang around. You let a team like Houston hang around, and it can lead to them coming back. And they had a rally in the 7th. They had Alvarez leading off the 9th. So, normally you'd love to add on that situation, but the Mariners were able to kind of get away with it today, not adding any runners on. Like I said, I thought the Mariners did a good job versus Bielak. I did not think he was very good today. I thought JP France for the Astros did a nice job yesterday after a tough first inning. Javier is obviously fantastic. I thought Bielak was pretty bad. He was very fortunate to only give up the 2 earned runs. 10 hits in 4 2/3, 3 runs, 2 earned, 2 walks, no strikeouts. So, yeah, not super impressive outing from him. I mean, kudos that he was able to work around it. I'll always give credit to pitchers for that, but I did not think he looked all that impressive today. But the Mariners get back to 500, and that's really the main thing here. And quietly, this team has won 6 out of 7 games. I think that A's sweep kind of had us all like this because all those games were close. And it's like, I think too many fans expected the Mariners to go into Oakland and win games 10-0 every night. And that's just not how it works. These are all professional teams here. But they won the last game in Toronto. They sweep the A's, and then they win 2 out of 3 here from Houston. Like I said, very quietly now, this team is 6-1 in their last 7 games, and a chance now with Texas coming in tomorrow to start it out. And now that next hurdle, get back over 500. The Mariners have not been over 500 since probably opening day. Am I right? Did they get back over 500 at one point? They almost swept Cleveland to get to 500. No, I don't think they did. They swept the Rockies to get to 500, and then they lost to Milwaukee. So they have not. This is the next hurdle now. Get back over 500. Now, I always say you can't really talk playoffs or anything until you're at 500. But now they're there. Now you can. And this division, so far, we're 35, 40 games into it, looks winnable. Like the Rangers, I don't know what's going on with DeGrom yet. Their offense looks really good, but the pitching does have some limitations. They're off to a good start. I'm not surprised. I figured Texas was going to be competitive this year. I think Houston is going to get going at some point, but they're battling a lot right now. Altuve's out. Chas McCormick is out. They unfortunately, like I said, they lost Luis Garcia for the season. And then Michael Brantley's out, and Abreu's been really struggling. So they're fighting a lot right now. They're fighting it, not internally or anything, but they're battling. So now's time. This is, I said yesterday, now's time to take advantage and get 2 out of 3 from Houston. And I think the Angels are going to stick around. Like, I don't think they're great, but anytime you've got Trout and Ohtani, they're going to stick around. But with all those teams being competitive, it kind of, instead of being here, it brings it more here. So I do think the division is winnable this season. So far, it at least looks to be winnable for the Mariners. So hopefully if they can get going and get that series against Texas, I will be here tomorrow night for the post game with the Texas Rangers game. I hope everybody enjoys the rest of their weekend, the rest of their Sunday with friends, family, whatever you're doing today. Hope you have a great Sunday night. Take care. As always, go Mariners, and I will see you guys tomorrow night. Back to 500. Season starts tomorrow. Let's go get it. Peace. Go M's.